The nest of death was not a metaphor. It was a real place, a black fortress of bone and steel floating in orbit around the dying world of Kareth 6, home to the Zrath, a species known across the stars as the galaxy's perfect killers. No human had ever entered their domain and returned. The few who tried were found as drifting debris, when they were found at all. But that was before the boy came. His name was Eli Carter, a 17-year-old orphan from the Terran frontier, small and wiry, with hands always smudged in grease and eyes too curious for his own good. He'd grown up in scrapyards, listening to the war broadcasts between humans and the Zrath. To most, the aliens were monsters, six-limbed, armored, and utterly merciless. To Eli, they were a mystery to be solved. When his colony's satellite caught fragments of Zrath communication signals, he decoded them out of sheer boredom. And that was how it started. He discovered a distress beacon. Not human. Zrath. A child trapped on an abandoned mining station near the edge of a pulsar field. The signals were frantic, fading fast. The grown-ups laughed when he told them. "Let the bugs die," they said. "Better one less to fight." But Eli couldn't shake the voice from his head. The frightened clicks and chirrs that sounded strangely like crying. So he stole a shuttle. The journey was suicide. Radiation storms clawed at the hull. Systems failed one after another, and by the time he reached the station, his oxygen was down to 15%. But the distress beacon was still there, and so was the Zrath child. She was small, barely up to his chest, her carapace cracked and wings tattered. When she saw him, she hissed and raised her claws. "Hey!" Eli said through his cracked visor, voice shaking. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help." The translator on his wrist stuttered through the alien syllables, turning his words into broken hisses and growls. The child flinched, confused, then let out a soft trill. A question. Eli didn't understand the language, but he understood the tone. Fear, pain, hope. He patched her wounds with the only things he had: gauze, duct tape, and sheer determination, then carried her back to his shuttle. The moment he lifted off, 10 Zrath interceptors appeared on the radar. His heart froze. They'd tracked the beacon, too. The nest of death had found him. The chase lasted an hour. A miracle he survived that long. His shuttle was hit twice, engines burning, and when they finally disabled him, the Zrath ship pulled him in with a tractor beam. The last thing he saw before blacking out was the massive obsidian spire of their fortress, the nest itself. When Eli awoke, he was in a cold, dim chamber surrounded by towering Zrath warriors. Each one was the size of a tank, claws like blades, mandibles clicking in menace. The child he'd saved stood between them, holding his arm protectively. She hissed something sharp, defiant. The translator only caught fragments. "He saved me." "Don't hurt." The Zrath leader stepped forward. His name was High Talon Kashar, the warlord of the nest, known among humans as the Butcher of Sela Prime. His eyes glowed with molten gold as he looked down at Eli. "You entered our territory," the translator rasped. "You stole one of our young." Eli swallowed hard. "I didn't steal her. She was dying. I just—" "Why?" Kashar interrupted, his voice a low growl that rattled the walls. Why would prey risk his life for predator blood? Eli hesitated. The answer wasn't complicated, but it felt too small for the moment. "Because she was scared," he said finally. "And nobody deserves to die scared." The chamber fell silent. The warriors exchanged glances, the kind that spoke of disbelief. The Zrath did not understand mercy. Their entire culture was built on dominance, strength, and survival. Compassion was a foreign weapon. Kashar studied the boy for a long time. Then, to everyone's shock, he extended a clawed hand toward his daughter. "You are certain, hatchling?" The child chirred softly, nodding. The warlord turned back to Eli. "Then you are not prey," he said. "You are guest." From that day, everything changed. The Zrath watched him, first with suspicion, then with curiosity. He fixed their broken drones, rewired their translators, and showed their hatchlings how to shape metal using magnetic fields instead of brute force. His strange, soft human ways made no sense to them, yet the nest began to shift. Where once hatchlings were trained only to kill, they were now taught to repair, to explore, to ask. Kashar himself invited Eli to dine in the Hall of Blades, the first human ever to do so. "You came as prey," the warlord told him, his voice rumbling like thunder. "But you brought a seed, and now it grows." Months passed. Word of the human boy who softened the nest spread across systems. Some called him a spy, others a fool. But when the Dominion War reignited, and a Zrath warfleet arrived above a Terran colony, it did not attack. Instead, Kashar's daughter, now healed and crowned as heir, opened a channel to the human governor. Her message was simple. "The boy from the stars showed us mercy. We return it." That day, two enemies laid down their weapons. Years later, historians would call it the Accord of the Nest. But among soldiers, among children, among those who remembered what came before, it was simply known as the story of the human boy who entered the nest of death and won hearts. Because sometimes, the greatest victory in the galaxy isn't won with strength. It's one with kindness, brave enough to walk into the jaws of death and come out holding a friend's hand.